Hello everyone, so Edouard Bebonneuil from HEALS. So why we organized this, perhaps a short answer. At HEALS in April or May we had written a letter and an email to the European Innovation Partnership about research on aging, and we had received the answer that research on aging was one of the top priorities of the Innovation Partnership, and that it was in fact split all through the different actions. So I think it's time to reconsider this, and probably it's because we were not active enough. And the hope is that today, with the specialists that are not at the European Commission, perhaps we can give another dimension of how to reach healthy aging and active and healthy aging. Because obviously here we have some top-of-the-world specialists that know what they are talking about and that believe that their work is useful, and believe they can help the European Commission, and not the European Commission, the rest of the goals, which is to increase the healthy life years. So here, today I will talk about the past and the future, and we will see that in the past, life expectancy increased, that life expectancy is malleable, and that some things are behind that. And for the future, similarly, some things may be done to increase healthy life years. So I will start with a quiz to wake you up. You are all awakened, of course. So by how much is your life expectancy increasing during 3 days, during December 12th, 13th, and 14th. So, by life expectancy, I'm using the word that people usually use. It's a picture of current mortality rates. So it's as if things were not improving in the future. So that's what you usually hear when you hear life expectancy of 80. In fact, we will probably live much longer because there are improvements. But without improvement, we would live 80 years. So during 3 days, what are the improvements? 15 seconds of life, or less. Who votes for that? Who thinks that life expectancy will only increase or even decrease during 3 days by 15 seconds? Okay, 1%, 2%, 3%. Okay, approximately 15 minutes. Okay, quite a lot of persons. I won't say who. And approximately 15 hours. That's a lot more. And approximately 15 years or infinity.
We wish.
Okay. So 15 years or infinity, it means that within 3 days, mortality rates are dropping to 0. So I don't think this will happen in 3 days. But the most probable answer is 15 hours. And so that's a lot more than what other persons think. And we believe that's why the goal of the European Commission, or the European Innovation Partnership is so small perhaps, is that people do not understand in the normal life, and that's very normal, that things are going so fast. Because things were not going so fast up to 1800 approximately. Up to 1800, the maximum life expectancy across all countries that we could see was 40 years, as you can see on the graph. This means that 200 years ago, many of us would not be alive today. And now a lot of things have happened. And the life expectancy, as you probably know, due to retirement changes, increases approximately by 1/4 per year. But that 1/4 per year, it means it's 1/4 of the time of the year that is gained during that time. And if you put it at the scale of 1 day, it's 6 hours per day. 6 hours per day is as if when you go to sleep, suddenly you have 6 more hours every day. And that's the increase that we're having every day, the decrease in mortality rates. And so if you take 3 days, it's 15 hours approximately. And it's not only for the life expectancy at birth, it's also for higher ages. If you look at the right of the slide, you have the number of people aged 100, so centenarians or more, in Sweden, and you see that there is a recent explosion of centenarians. And also you have a curve for Japanese persons aged 105 or more, and you see a sudden explosion. So we are really in a new area. This is not like the past. We are fighting aging. We are living longer at high ages too. We are in a new phenomenon. And so we understand the concern of healthy aging, and we're going to look at it. So the indicator that the European Innovation Partnership is trying to increase is the healthy life years. So on those graphs, you have different types of life expectancy, but this time remaining life expectancy at age 65. So I have computed them from EuroHex, as we've just said. And so in blue, at the top, you have the remaining life expectancy, 1 quarter per year, 6 days, 6 hours per day. It goes straight, it increases. In red, you have the indicator that the European Innovation Partnership is trying to increase. So as we just said, things have to be taken with a grain of salt, depending on how it's defined. And there are very, very big differences depending on the country, etc. This is a sort of average across Europe. So what you see is that in fact life expectancy is clearly increasing. Life expectancy without severe activity limitation is also clearly increasing. So this means that when you're dying, and there are still not many years to live between the green and the blue part. But the red indicator, which is the major one to increase, is not increasing so far. So what you see is that healthy life years are not increasing with this definition. But in fact, it's unhealthy life that is increasing. And so we just had a few questions about how to increase healthy life rather than increase unhealthy life. And this is obviously a big question because so far we're not going to the right direction. And so I think this is a strong message. It's a strong message, especially at a time where population is aging. So we've said it, the percentage of people aged 65 or more is increasing. So as you can see on these graphs, in 1950, we had about 7% of people aged 65 or plus in Europe. And in 2050, it may be around 30%. So it's really not the same picture. And so if everyone is unhealthy, that's not going to be good for the economy, that's not going to be good for society, that's not going to be good for no one. So time is for action right now. And that's why we have this European Innovation Partnership on active and healthy aging. And that's why we had some big meetings like this one, from plan to action. And that's why we want to increase the healthy lives, really the healthy lives, not the unhealthy lives. And so the solution that is ongoing right now is not a bad solution, but that's one solution. It's more oriented, that's what we see, towards innovation for active health aging. So healthy has been more or less forgotten, I think. And so if we look at the 6 points we've seen, which are great and to some extent, it leads to these future European companies, where employees will be offered a Zimmer frame with a seat to discuss at the coffee machine, and with a GPS to find a way back to the desk. So that's the future employees in Europe. So a lot of innovations for active aging. Stay active as long as you can. And on the right-hand side of the graph, you have the beginning of the European Innovation Partnership on active and healthy aging. There was 4 workshops. So I have used short names so that it fits in the slide. It was about independent living, prevention, care and cure, and research on aging. And those 4 workshops, they have translated into 3 pillars. The 3 pillars are more or less the first 3 workshops. And the fourth workshop has disappeared. So the first workshop was independent living. And it's becoming what we see on the picture, it's becoming living not independently, but dependently on machines. The second workshop was about prevention. So prevention, well, I was thinking prevention of diseases, prevention of aging, prevention of all those diseases that will concern a big part of the population. In fact, it's not very far from it, but it's prevention of falls currently. So prevention of falls, it's not the same. It's not really stay active and healthy during many years. It's more stay at home and not benefit much to the economy and try to survive as long as you can in your difficult conditions. So it's not really the same picture. We're really increasing unhealthy life years with the definition. The third workshop was care and cure. So we were thinking at Hills, maybe we need to go back to go to a Chinese medicine, something like care and cure, and it's becoming more care and cure for the elderly, like geriatrics, which is very good, but that's not how you're going to increase healthy life years. And the fourth workshop has just disappeared, and we've sent emails to the European Commission, and it was told to us that it's because it's being used in all the 3 other dimensions. But so far today, in the 6 points, we do not see research on aging. So it's going to be adding 2 years of working lives, but difficult years. Solution 2 is the one we want to represent in those 3 days, because we believe in it. We wouldn't be here otherwise. We wouldn't spend our time next to the family, next to the work to organize this otherwise. We believe that innovation can be technological, innovation can be biomedical, and it's not another world. That's reality today. And this is happening in the labs, this is happening in the clinics, and this needs to be pushed forward for healthy aging. Because for us, the future of companies is healthy companies, with healthy employees. And it's difficult to increase the retirement age if you need a team of friends to work. For us, it's easy to increase the retirement age if you are in a good health. So that's why we think that the 4 workshops should be reconsidered in the approach, and the first workshop for independent living should be independent of machines, so long healthy lives. The second workshop for prevention, it's nice to start with falls, but we should really focus on prevention of illnesses, because that's the future. We don't want to have a dying Europe where everyone is just trying to not fall. The third workshop is care and cure, and today we have a medicine that is very curative, it's great, but we need to think also that medicine is not only curative, it's also preventive, like Chinese medicine, and it exists. So we need to develop preventive medicine, and we need to develop also regenerative medicine. It's something new that seems to work, and we believe there is some big hope with it. And this will avoid us to try not to fall and to be really healthy. And so we think that research on aging is the key for all this. And without research on aging, you're not going to get this solution too. You're not going to get a healthy Europe and a healthy innovation and a healthy company and a healthy status for the economy. So we think that we need to add 2 years of healthy lives, and then there will be, yes, working lives. So looking back at the past, can something be done about aging? So in the past, you can see that life expectancy increased. It didn't increase just like this. If you look at what happened, there was different lines. So the different specialists do not know exactly if it's a few lines, many lines, one line. But what we see is that there were some changes. So in about 1800, there was an agricultural revolution, and it led to much better lifestyles for persons. There was also the general vaccines. It led to avoiding many diseases. And so this led to some increase, 11% per year of increase of life expectancy. And then around the end of the 19th century, there was Louis Pasteur's ideas. It was not only his ideas, but he was representative of it, about hygiene, about boiling water, about vaccines, and in fact, all this is preventive medicine. It is preventive medicine of illnesses. So the vaccines is almost the only preventive medicine that we have today that is really strong in Europe, and not so strong because recently, after 1950, society has changed to curative medicine. And you see how the slope of increase have slowed down. So it's great to live longer, but perhaps we could do better. And we think we need to reconsider preventive medicine and also regenerative medicine, because medicine is curative, but also preventive and regenerative. So yes, something can be done about aging, and something is being done about aging. It all started in worms, not long ago. And the most impressive results happened around 2008, where people were able to multiply by 10 the lifespan of worms. Very small worms, 1 millimeter long, but with one gene change, they multiplied the lifespan by 10. And then people thought, well, that's worms, that's not us. Let's try in mice. It's very difficult to do lifespan tests in mice, because in the lab, you don't have the structure to do lifespan tests. Usually you do a 1 or 2 months experiments, but not a 3-year-long experiments. And we believe this should be pushed within Europe. We need to do lifespan tests to know how to live longer healthy. And so in 2008, some people tried many things at the same time. They mutated the mice so that they could live longer. They put them in a special diet so that they could live longer. And they observed that the mice were living twice as long, almost. So things can be changed. Mice are mammals. We are not big mouths, but there are some relationships. In 2009, 1 year later, it was discovered with the same approach that had just started that rapamycin, a drug that was used for different other aspects in humans, increased lifespan. And so things are not now going very, very fast, and we think it's a pity if Europe doesn't take this change. In 2010, I'm just giving a few examples, many drugs were tested in mice, and we'll have a very clear presentation tomorrow about that, about the results that probably in our armorium, in our house, we have drugs to live longer and healthier. So preventive medicine exists. In 2011, it was found that if you get rid of old cells within your body, well, not your body, we do not know, but in mice, it partly reverses aging. So we are poisoned by old cells. And this, we believe, is the key for the future. In 2012, it was found that if you increase the end of the telomeres in mice, they can live much longer without cancers. So I'm going to go faster because there is so much to say. In humans, we see that we have things in some families that live long that are the same that was found to increase the lifespan of mice. So it's not, we are not different than mice for some aspects. And scientific persons, a lot of them, now believe that it's time for a big change, not necessarily in 1 year, it may be very gradual, but a big change, like we've seen with Louis Pasteur. So what should the future of Europe look like? Here you have 2 mice, one that is aging, the one on the left, and the one on the right, it's the same type of mice, except that the end of the chromosomes has been no, this one, sorry, it's the senescent cells have been removed. And so rapidly, the mouse gained a good shape. And so you see, we do not want to be like the mouse on the left. That's bad for the economy, that's bad for everyone. We want to be like the mouse on the right. Thank you.